Morning, Coach.
Morning, guys.
How you feeling today, Coach?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Doing great.
Doing good.
That's
Rock,
good.
I want to ask you your opinion. How impressed should fans be with your victory over Washington State?
Well, I mean, I think it's awful early in the season to be impressed with anybody yet, but I think it was a big win for our team because of it was a talented football team. Skill-wise and everything was probably just as good as we are. And we didn't play real well at times, but we're good enough to win it in the end and win it pretty convincingly. So that means there's a bright future ahead if we can keep playing well.
Let me tell you why I ask, Rock, because last week in reading your comments about BCS conference teams, you said, look, that's a bunch of garbage, and I got to convince my players and I got to recruit players that think the same way I do. That's nonsense. And so Washington State has not exactly been Oregon or USC. They don't have the tradition of UCLA or even Washington. So it's a bottom-of-the-barrel Pac-10 team, and to me, I'm with you. Forget about what conference they come from and BCS eligible or not. That's just the next guy on the schedule, and you beat them down.
Well, I mean, that's my philosophy, and hopefully sooner or later that's our philosophy in this program, that it doesn't matter who we play or what conference they're from. I mean, we're both in the same division of college football, so it's supposed to be a game, and the best team wins.
Coach, what's the biggest challenge when you see a Washington State take the field and they hit that 80-yard touchdown pass early in the game? Did you have to remind your guys, what they were there for and how hard they've worked, and how does that go to get your defense back on track?
Well, before you say anything to them, you let them come to the sidelines and see how they're reacting. And so I went back to the bench, and they seemed to be fine. I mean, it was a one-play shot that happens, all the time. And they didn't seem to be upset or distraught, or it was just like, well, I guess we'll go back out there the next time and do better. So you didn't have to say much to them, which in my opinion is a real positive sign. That means we're maturing as a football team where bad things happen to us. You don't overreact. You just go back to work and try to make them better.
All right, we're talking to Coach Rocky Long from San Diego State. He's on the Corky's Hotline, and this segment of Scott and BR is being brought to you by Sonic. So, Coach, Washington State's in the books, and while we could sit here and talk about that game, what everybody's really interested in now is Michigan. And the script couldn't have been written any better. They're 3-0. You're 3-0. You've taken over this program. Brady's moved on to that program. And my favorite part of it is you saying the reason he left is because he believes that you have to be in one of the big super conferences. And so that, I think, starts to stir this thing a little bit. Have you had any reaction to that comment?
Well, that's not what I said.
Well, let me rephrase that. That's how you were quoted.
He was
paraphrasing. No, I'm not paraphrasing anything. I'm telling you that's how it was quoted in the newspaper.
Well, that was a misquote. That's not what I said, because they asked me. I said that maybe he thought that way or something like that, and they said, well, does that mean you know what he's thinking or something? And I said, no, I don't know what Brady's feelings were. I just, I said that some people feel that way.
Right.
So I was quoted out of context, like you probably are a lot.
Oh, Coach, all the time.
It happens to him every day.
And by the way, when I'm not quoted out of context, you know what I say? I was misquoted. But Rocky, here's the thing. And Billy Ray and I were chatting about this earlier this morning. And I don't know if you feel the same way about it. Maybe because you're in it, you don't. But the way I look at it is this. You talk about a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for everybody involved. Yourself, Brady, Ryan Lindley, Ronnie Hillman, all of your players, all their players. On their side, they're defending their new coach. They're defending home turf. On your side, you're defending what he left behind because he didn't think it was as good. Nobody gets this kind of chance in their career. And so, I don't know, you tell us, are you selling it that it's that important?
No, I don't think it is that important. I mean, obviously, we're going back there to win. We think we got a chance to win. They've got a great coach, great staff. They've got really good players, so it's going to be really hard. But guess what? There's more important games on our schedule than this one. I mean, our number one goal around here is to win the conference championship. And last time I looked, they're not in our conference. And I think it's getting all the hype because Brady's there. I don't think it would be getting near this hype if it was a different coach there and they were 3-0. I remember last year I think they if I remember right, because I don't want to be misquoted.
No, of course not. Or taken out of context.
And we'll never do that.
No.
Okay, if I remember right, I think they were 5-0 at the start of last season. I think Michigan won their first 5 games last year.
Yeah, but to your point, I know exactly what you're saying. Look, TCU is a much more important game in terms of accomplishing your goal of winning the conference. Boise State is a much more important game. You know, look, UNLV, New Mexico, whoever's left is much more important. But from a marketing standpoint, I know that's not necessarily your concern, from building a fan base standpoint, for a recruiting standpoint, can we acknowledge that this game is massive?
I think the game, any game you play is important, and I think because of Michigan's reputation, and I think they're the winningest college football program in the history of college football. The history of the stadium and all that, it's an exciting deal. It's really an exciting deal, but I don't put the same emphasis on this game being the ultimate game of all time in my career or my player's career.
Rocky, when you're facing a quarterback like Denard Robinson, do you make sure that your defenders know that when he runs the football and takes that kind of risk that he needs to be hit and he needs to be hit hard? And I mean, it just seems like they're exposing him. He ran the ball 16 times last week against Notre Dame, and it would be a great thing to get him on the sideline.
Yeah, that would be a great thing, and our players all know how good he is. I mean, he might be the fastest guy I've ever seen on a football field. The trouble with guys like him is actually getting a good lick on him. But our players understand how important he is to their offense. I mean, he's one of their big play guys, and he makes them go. And I mean, our players knew that. I didn't have to tell them that.
No.
They knew that by watching it on TV.
That's good.
Rocky, is there anything you can do to prepare your team for what they're about to go into? Because I've never been to Michigan Stadium. Billy, have you ever been there?
No.
I have.
You been there?
Uh-huh.
Is there anything different about playing in front of this size crowd, oh, by the way, at 9 a.m. in the morning, our time, versus playing at Army, for example, and, you know, the emotion of the September 11th weekend? I mean, does the crowd mean anything in terms of your preparation this week?
Yes and no. I think that I think the size of the crowd is something special. Going into that stadium is something special. Reminds me, two stadiums look exactly the same to me, that one and the Rose Bowl. So the stadium is old, and the seats kind of, you know, feather out to the end, so it gets loud in there, but it's not near as loud as some of the new stadiums that are built right on top of you. Just the excitement of going to a place like that, and the excitement of playing a team with the tradition that Michigan has. I think that we had to address that. We've already addressed it. I mean, everybody else wanted to talk about this 3 weeks ago and didn't care if we won the first 3 games or not. but now we're to the point that it's time to play, so you have to address it with your team, that we're playing a good football team, and it's going to be really exciting to have 110,000 people in the stands, and most of them are going to be against us, and it's going to be a wild game because we think both teams are very comparable, and it's going to be a competitive football game. So embrace it, have fun with it. Shoot, it's not the end of the world either way. Now it's going to be exciting if we win, but we got 9 more games or 8 more games after this one to play.
Rocky, is there anything you know, having worked closely with Brady Hoke over the last few years? Is there something you know about him or his style, his decision-making, or Al Borges or whoever, that you think, you know what, I know this about these guys. I'm going to exploit this in this game.
We know a lot about each other, but they know just as much about us and the way we do things as we know about them. In fact, Al Borges and I have been competing in practice for a long time. We did it here. We did it at UCLA. He probably understands our defense better than anybody in the country, but we kind of understand what they're doing on offense too. So I think it's going to be a great game. They have really good players. They've got a great head coach. They've got a great coaching staff. We've got good players too, and we are pretty proud of our coaching staff too. So, I mean, it's a perfect setup. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And Rocky, as far as the players are concerned, I would look at this as a great opportunity on the national stage for Ronnie Hillman. Normally, you don't hear San Diego State and the Heisman mentioned in the same sentence, but with a big day against Michigan, I think it's a huge shot for Ronnie Hillman's chances for the Heisman.
Well, I don't know about that because I don't know how that works, except that if Ronnie has a good day, we've got a chance to win, and I'm sure they're going to try to take Ronnie away. So as everybody else has tried to do, our wide receivers got to make some plays so they can't stack the box. And because I love watching Brady in his press conferences, I watched his press conference yesterday, and he was talking about people stacking the box against Denard Robinson and that their wide receivers had to catch some passes so they would loosen those things up. So it sounds to me like two teams coming in with the same game plan on offense and defense and hoping theirs works.
I love the way, Rocky, that you are downplaying the importance of this football game, because in your world, it's just an out-of-conference football game. In my world, and in the world of most Aztec fans and supporters, this is the Super Bowl of all time. So keep yourself insulated. I don't want you listening to the show the rest of the week.
I'm an old man. I can listen to what you say and still have my own opinion.
You can forget it tomorrow.
I want you to encourage your players to not listen this week.
Well, now I think this is a learning experience for our program. I want them to listen. I want them to hear it all. I want them to embrace it all. And then I want them to go out and play football like they know they can, without the hype leading up to the game have anything to do with their preparation or the way they play. I mean, we plan in this program to be in games like this in the future, so we got to learn how to handle it. And there's some other teams that are considered at the same level we are that have jumped up and won games like this in the past, or learned how to handle this situation, and they go to Georgia and beat Georgia and Atlanta and things like that. So we want to be that kind of program too. So we need to embrace it and learn how to handle all this.
Absolutely. Honestly, I would if this
were
make
up your mind.
No,
Either you want them to listen or you don't.
If this were my team, let me tell you something right now. I'd be doing a full-on college football history lesson. I'm not kidding with you. You know what I'd be doing, Rock? And I wonder if you've done it. Have you shown these guys any highlights from Appalachian State going there and beating them?
No, that doesn't have anything to do with us.
No, of course not. But all I'm doing is I'm setting the groundwork here for the mentality of the team. Look, Boise State can go to Atlanta and they can beat Georgia and beat them down. Mm-hmm. TCU can go to the Rose Bowl and win that game.
Yeah, but you're assuming that we don't think we can, so I gotta make them believe we can. I'm assuming that we think we can.
No, I am too. I just want everybody to know that going there and playing there is great, but going there and winning there is the ultimate. And Rock, I am feeling so good about your team this week. I am loving San Diego State at Michigan.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, boy. That's why we play. We're going to find out.
Yes, we are. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. on the Big Ten Network. Rocky Long leads San Diego State into the Big House. Coach, wishing the best of luck. Can't wait to talk next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the call.